It's cold out, but the sun is kind of shining, so that's how much snow we got. All right, World War III update. It might be a bit of a ranty day. Yes, as you can probably, well, yes, I don't know if you guys will get the video today because the internet, the way it's been in the past couple of days there was like a not a nationwide, but like a region-wide blackout. There was like 5 towns where the freaking internet was down. It was working the other night. They got it back working again, and then last night it worked at the hall. I come home, doesn't freaking work here. This morning doesn't work here. So I don't know. I've tried everything. I'm plugging the router. It's a problem with their server or something like that. It's like because the other companies don't have a problem with it, and unfortunately, it's the only company I can get up here. But I'm at that edge line of civilization where very few internet providers go. So hopefully the one at the hall stays up long enough for me to get this video. If not, by the time you get this video, and you get it today, just keep in mind that the next God knows how long till they sort their crap out. I'm going to call them later, but like I can connect to my router, but I guess their server keeps screwing up or whatever. It doesn't hit everywhere all at once. It hits kind of sporadically. Like it'll hit say all the people on my hill one week, and then the next day or something like that, it hits people on the other side of the town. It seems all over the place. Like it's a really lousy company. All right, so anyway, I guess I'll just start in on. Let's see what we got here. Okay, we got lots. All right, more DDoS attacks for 2017. Maybe that's what I'm experiencing. I don't know. I do know that the Pick-a-Knock internet provider does use a Russian satellite, so you never know, they could be getting hacked. But if it's working at the hall, it should be working here. But mind you, it was working at the hall the other day. I don't know what it is. I'm just too fed up with it. Anyway, next one goes. The FBI never requested the DNC servers. So all this rhetoric that we're getting of Russia hacked the election and all that stuff, so we can go to war with them. Remember, Hillary Clinton. If it was Hillary Clinton saying it, trust me, it's the neocon plan. When she came out and said, we're going to respond to Russia militarily or anybody military that hacks our service. So we'll treat hacks with military response. That's pretty much her exact words. But the FBI say, no, we never requested, the DNC servers. So we don't know who did it, like that type of thing. That said, that Seth Rich guy that apparently committed suicide, who worked for the DNC, was probably the guy who leaked the documents. So they weren't hacked, they were leaked. And the problem there is that we don't know how this guy really died, but they're saying it's a suicide, but it comes out, the investigations, again, it's not a suicide. It just, again, Clinton Deadpool widens. Maybe it was somebody running defense for her too. You never know. Again, will it ever be proved? Who knows? But the timing. China drives its Dongfang 41 in the city of Daiqing. And this is kind of big news. I guess they're just moving them from one point to another. There's about 50 to 75 for them. They have a 9,300-mile range. So they could pretty much hit most of the United States. They could hit some places in Europe. The thing's got some range. It's like the Chinese version of the Topo M. Yeah, so that's kind of it. Something to keep on for the economic part of it. Again, another reason why they want to cull the herd is in the States there's about 80 million people nearing retirement. I think 2017 is going to be one of those years where you see all kinds of stuff like that, and it's like, wow. You know what I mean? It's like, I wasn't expecting that. You know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden everybody retires at once. Now that still doesn't, you don't need mass immigration to replenish the workforce for that. I mean, again, you cut down a couple of, look at what the cost for what it costs for all the militarization and stuff like that. There's areas where they could cut. They could cut the DHS, for example. They could cut some of these military bases overseas and be more than whatever it costs to run the retirement programs. That type. So, yeah, that's going to same here in Canada. So the excuse that they keep using that, we have to flood in more people because there's too many people are going to be retiring. We need a replacement. So it's kind of a backwards way of thinking where the people serve the economy, not the economy serving the people. I mean, if you have less people in your economy, that's okay. That's not a bad thing. It means the jobs that will be out there, there'll be less people competing for them, and wages will probably go up. There's actually a study, I think the Japanese did. Black Pigeon Speaks was talking about it last night from the making of this video, where they were showing that actually in a demographic decline, the per capita goes up for people, meaning, and you can kind of see it too from generation to generation. Like the baby boomer generation, yeah, okay, they had a few cold winters and extra kids were born out, but they had more wealth than the previous generation. My generation had more wealth than even the baby boomers in a lot of ways. Then the millennials come along, and by that time it's run its course and it's burnt itself out, and you have a bigger population. So there's charts that show that there's no correlation between population size and wealth, which you can make the case. Iceland, which is 300,000 people. Okay, look at their wealth per capita, which is 300,000 people. It's like the size of the city of Ottawa. And then India. see per capita who has more wealth. So more people doesn't equal more wealth. That's a liberal way of thinking. Basically, what it comes down to, their main motivations is voters. And for the Democrats or liberal types, so that's one reason for mass immigration. The second is for the conservative types, cheap labor. Again, everybody coming into Canada that's not a Canadian citizen can get hired for 15% less. Now, they're supposed to have changed that law, but under the Trudeau government, I doubt they would change that. So, yeah, just something to keep in mind. Now, Obama's sending special forces to the Russian border near Kaliningrad. Now, let's look up that fire. Nothing's going right this morning. Hey, Gazoo, everything's all foobar this morning. And there's Gazoo staring out the window there. But yeah, there's snow out there, the internet's not working. Got foobar here, foobar there, everywhere foobar. If you don't, foobar is German, so yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna go stoke up the fire. Sometimes there's some mornings I just can't seem to get the darn fire going. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so we know that the Russians have Kaliningrad pretty locked down. That's basically, they've got the Iskander missiles there, so when Obama says that they're building up nuclear forces on the Polish border, well, he's not kidding. They're nuclear capable. It doesn't mean they have the nuke warheads on them right now, because the Iskander missiles, basically, they're there to pretty much take out any shipping that might come about. Like they can knock out the shipping with these 500-mile or 300-mile missiles, 500 kilometers. And the idea is to build up forces there. Now, I don't know how many special forces that Obama sent there, but I think it was a few hundred a few months ago, and then a few more now. Burn! Warm the damn house up. It was minus 20 outside. This stuff usually gets the heat going. Once it gets in here, gotta range it. And yeah, so more build-up of forces. Obama really pushing to piss the Russians off, that's for sure. And as that goes, it's like the Russians are going to respond the way they normally respond, and they'll escalate it up even more, that type of thing. So you have all that going on now, right before Trump is inaugurated. And it's very important to keep that in mind because, it's like the neocons are in extreme desperation to get the war started. It's like, war before Trump's inaugurated, if they can. Okay, let's see what else we got here. I don't want that to get going there. It's freaking freezing. Was it? Oh yeah, Putin in his last one of his Q&A things, he was sitting there and he was talking to some young lad, and I get this is Putin doing his kind of saber rattling type of stuff and messing with the heads of I guess NATO or whatever, but maybe he's made a Freudian slip or whatever, who knows? But the kid goes, "How far are the Russian borders?" And he responds, Russia has no borders. So it's like, meaning, yeah, we're going to conquer the world type of thing. So, of course, they're running with that one on the mainstream media to really get them all riled up, whatever. I mean, I'm not saying the Russians don't provoke back. They obviously do. They're doing it for, several reasons. So under Trump, if Trump is the real deal and he does try to de-escalate a lot of this stupidism, that'd be great. Romanian missile shield is still going on as you would expect. The vote against Obamacare, again, this is what it's all about. It's about that control. Whenever they lose control of Obamacare, the world elites and the bankers, they're going to be losing a lot of money and revenue on this. That type of thing. So it's going to be a while before they overthrow Obamacare, but it's like one of the first things, and the vote was 51 to 48 to get rid of Obamacare, I believe. So, but they have to come up with a better plan. So that's the kicker. What's the better plan, right? I can't remember what news source was putting this out, but they're floating to the people a preemptive strike on North Korea for regime change. So here we go with regime change again. It's one of those things that, okay, North Korea, sure, it's a horrible regime, but they're not bugging anybody outside their borders. Yeah, they razz South Korea from time to time, but it's back and forth with them. You know what I mean? You can't really choose sides because they razz each other. That type of thing. But they've been stationary since the Korean War. They haven't moved any further south. They're not definitely going to take over China anytime soon, and there's nobody they can really challenge. They're not the threat to the world that they make them out to be. But Kim Jong-un's out there talking about his new missile, and they're getting ready to fire off another one and stuff like that. They could be destructive. There's no doubt about that because they do have the weapons and technology to do that. But it's so limited. Like their one missile, intercontinental missile. Okay, yeah, sure. It'll find a way to. You got no room here. Too hard to crouch over. Their intercontinental missile. Well, it's like. It takes them like a week to set the darn thing up, or months to get it ready to go. So it's not like they're going to have a blitzkrieg anytime soon. Let's see. Find a spot to put this camera. Just till the darn fire gets going. I'll put it right here. Where's bad lighting? Oh, it's just that day. It is that day. No lighting. Make me mad. Anyway, well, the fire should kick in pretty soon. I'm just waiting for the furnace to kick in, that's all. Alrighty, so bear with me. So strikes on North Korea. They're submarine-fired missiles and all that. No matter where I go, the light's going to be shit. Anyway, this is also big news. A whole bunch of supply ships going to Germany. Remember a couple of weeks ago, again, don't be afraid to go over some of my older World War III updates. Remember a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of months ago, there was that huge shipment of ammunition going to Germany? Well, it looks like there's going to be, don't quote me on this, but about 4,000 pieces of equipment and 2,500 tanks they're going to be arriving in Germany. These are, I think, all NATO. I got it from the Next News, but I got it really quick last night. I didn't get all the details down. But anyway, it's going to be a more tanks, or a total of 2,500 tanks. Like a new 160 are going, which will make 2,500 tanks with 4,000 other vehicles and support vehicles and APCs and whatever. So that stuff is going there. So that's pretty good, or pretty bad. 71 billion to upgrade the B-52s. Now, yeah. They definitely need to keep their arsenal upgraded. That's not really a big concern, so to speak. But the timing, what a B-52 is really meant to do. I mean, in the Vietnam War, those things could level a 10-mile strip, one bomber. Like it was, there's never been a bomber quite like it. The Russians have nothing quite like it. The Russians have big bombers that are fast, but they don't carry the payloads of the B-52. The B-52, if you accidentally left a chain stuck to it on takeoff, it'd pull the world away with it. Like it's a heavy lift bomber, is what it is. It's instead of a cargo airplane, it's got the capabilities of a cargo airplane, but instead it's got pylons for dropping bombs. But anyway, they're going to be, I guess, upgrading for better targeting systems. Probably would have to get better radar jamming, and the only defense that the B-52 really has is they used to have is a Gatling gun in the tail, and they got rid of some of those and they put something else in there. So really, let's say you have an Su-35 come along, and the B-52 is capable of jamming the signal. You know, like, the B-52 is capable of jamming the radar so that the missiles can't lock onto it. The thing flies at roughly about the speed of an airliner, so it's obviously the fighter's going to catch up to it, and those 30mm cannons will just make sure it works. You know, low tech works no matter what, right? So they're going to have to put on some sort of a defense system on the B-52s, I would imagine, if that's what they're going to do. That, or they got to triple up on the escort, right? So it really, that's the drawbacks to the B-52 is they're completely offensive. They don't have really any defense on them. But the fact that they're putting $71 billion into the upgrades, out of the 1,500 built, I don't think they have that many more flying. I don't think they have more than 500. I don't think they fly any more than like 150 of them at a time. Again, think of the cost, right? So maybe they're going to get more fuel-efficient engines or something like that. Yeah. John Kerry was basically talking about how he was trying to get troops put on the ground, and we know about this. My God, the fire's not going yet. Trying to get basically troops on the ground in Syria. He was out there talking about that again. But remember, the people didn't want it. This is what really the creation of ISIS and all that was about. Basically, I guess the first plan of it was to get John McCain to go in there, meet up with all the jihadist groups during in 2010 during the riots, set up the connections to supply them with the weapons to create the destabilization. Then once it was destabilized, like, oh my God, Assad's a dictator, Assad's a dictator, Assad's a dictator. We got to get, and then remember they did the cruise missiles into Syria, and then said, okay, well, we're going to have war, and then, the people rejected war from Obama, and I guess John Kerry. So then Obama's varsity team shows up, and next thing you know, you got a proxy army, right? Out of the 60,000, something like 60,000 airstrikes that the U.S. has done in the area, not one has hit an ISIS oil supply. They hasn't hit one ISIS oil supply truck. All those trucks that were, the video footage of them going into Turkey, not one is hit. Out of 60,000, they've hit grain silos, they've hit people, they've hit hospitals, they've hit everything. They've hit everything but that. So the oil, again, we know who was buying the oil. Turkey was buying the oil. Saudi Arabia was supplying, stuff too. And I can imagine Israel was buying oil. Even though I think the UK was getting some of that oil, all that stuff. So we know that it's a dirty game there. I'm just going to go stoke the fire a little bit. Assange from WikiLeaks. Should kick in. Assange from WikiLeaks was out there in an interview saying that, no, we didn't get any of the hacks from the Russians. They were leaks, not hacks. And we've been hearing, and that's one thing the mainstream media is not talking about that. And this is the other thing that's funny. They're like, oh my God, Russian hacked us, Russia. But never mind the fact, maybe they're doing it for a smokescreen, kind of like, oh, the Russians hacked us, whatever. But let's not talk about what was leaked out, like that type of thing. So it's damage control, but, it is making the people panic. So if that's all it is, we don't have to worry about with these world elites and the media, we don't know. These people seem to like to have war. And what you were seeing when the Vermont power plant was hacked by the Russians there last week or whatever, it turns out, no, it was a guy there who screwed up and left his laptop on and it got a virus and it screwed up. That's coming from the power plant people, not from mainstream media. The Russians did. But again, it's the Saul Alinsky tactic of ridicule. Just throw ridicule out there. There's apparently no defense from it. But what they don't realize is it works in a reactionary, short-term way. It's like when you're sitting there and two guys are sitting there and they don't like each other. Hey, he called your name and the other guy punched him. And then by the time the guy finds out it's true, they've already been through the brawl, right? That's what they're trying to get. The problem is well, the other guy, did you say that? And the other guy says, no, I didn't say nothing about you. You made it up. Then I get punched in the head, right? That type of thing. That's what's happening with the mainstream media. They lie. Most people will believe it. But each time people look into it, it's like, hey, wait a minute. I mean, to me, it's like if you're a logical person, I don't care if you're on the left side or the right side. If you're a logical person, you can't look at the media and say, why is it that every media around the world is only offering one narrative? That it's only the Russians doing bad.
that's why I think the approval rating of the mainstream media is like it's like, you know, depending on different polls. One says 9%. I doubt it's that high. Others say 6% approval. Like that, people don't trust the mainstream media anymore. And you can see like they're losing their jobs there, and they should be. They should be. They're horrible. Now this one's kind of John F. Kennedy's 100th birthday is coming up this year. Hey, finally something in the damn house works. Great. Yeah, his 100th birthday. Could you imagine on the 100th birthday of Kennedy, Donald Trump getting assassinated? Would they do that? I mean, think of the people we're talking about, the Illuminati, New World Order types. They would do something like that for sure. Looks like I got a lightsaber coming at my head. I don't know if it shows up on your side of the camera. Got the light bulb there. Yeah, it's like the other day there was the glare. It looked like somebody was targeting me with a red dot. You never know, someday they might. But anyway, yeah, and even at that, my internet's not going to work anyway, so it won't matter. Vexed, very vexed. Obama doing something really strange. Surprise, surprise. He's expanding his team by 200. Weird. Like he's got like less than 2 weeks left, and he's putting together a team. Kind of like what Trump's doing, but with 2 weeks left. I don't know. Like, what explanation can you give for this? For 2 weeks, why would you waste the time? Like, I mean, at this point, just sit back and go. And if all of Obama's presidency, he played golf throughout. Well, shouldn't he? This is the time when he goes plays golf. You know, I'm on my way out. I'll show up for the ceremonies and all that. See you guys later. This is where you go play golf. But now he's getting active. Now he's going to get a team together. Now he's going to try to be competent. You're like, oh my God, it's like, give it up already. The other, what else we got here? Also the U.S. military is going to be doing its first execution in 50 years. Some guy, I guess, murdered some people or whatever. But that could become something that you're going to see, okay, the draft come in, something happens, the draft comes in, oh, it's okay, we're not going to put you in jail like during Vietnam, we're just going to execute you. Red Army style. People say, oh, that'll never happen here. They said that in Russia, too, in 1917. Oh, that'll never happen here. They said that in World War II. Oh, that'll never happen here. They said that in China, under Mao Zedong. That'll never happen here. Cambodia with Pol Pot. Oh, that'll never happen here. I couldn't wear glasses. Nobody will hurt me. You never say never. Especially, it just because these people are so genocidally minded. You know what I mean? Obama, too, is also sold more military weapons deals than any other U.S. president in history. So Obama's got quite a few things under his belt here. More executive orders than any other president in history. More persecution of whistleblowers than any other president in history. More, arms deals in places like Saudi Arabia, ISIS. It's openly admitted now that ISIS... John McCain, when he refers to al-Baghdadi as his good friend, al-Baghdadi is the al-Nusra leader, ISIS leader kind of thing. And there's pictures of him, and there's videos of him talking about it. It's like these people are so disconnected from reality. Insane in the membrane McCain, Duterte, our good friend over there in the Philippines. Well, yeah, he's still staying the course of getting rid of the U.S. They're going to be doing joint drills with the Philippines, Russia, and the Philippines. So at some point they will be doing that with China too, because... So now you have a real wild card in the Philippines. The Philippines, I think they just want to stay out of it. It's like, okay, well, we know China can kick our ass, so we'll play well with the Russians, we'll play well with the Chinese, that type of thing. So that does really start to shift the balance of power, it's the beginning of it. And I think Malaysia, my hunch would be they would go next. Stay working, you son of a... I opened the door for the first game. Burn! Sorry. can't seem to heat up the house today. Plus, I'm in the basement where it's cold, so I got to keep that thing going. What else? Yeah, so that's interesting. Russia is also working deals with Libya, so I guess to kind of help undo Obama and Clinton's policies there. And the Iraqi military has taken about 60% around Mosul. So they're making gains there, and you keep hearing how the Iraqi military, they can't be trusted, you can't do anything with them, whatever. But almost all the gains is with them, not with the U.S. So, and the coalition forces. The coalition forces are helping ISIS. And a piece of killing snapping back there. And it also, in Syria, there's... remember George Soros' backed white helmets? Well, they're holding the water back in areas in Syria so that the water can't get through to the people, you know. And this was spotted in a memo that they're holding back the water reserves, which we see, you know, there's enough video footage to show you that, you know, who are the white helmets? They're volunteers, and most of them are part of the ISIS group. So, yeah, they're just, yeah. This one's also too, I think the U.S. has 10 to 14 aircraft carriers. Somebody said, no, there's only 13 left, 10 of which are basically still in service. And it looks like Obama's calling them all back to the United States, all at the same time. You know, nothing strange about that at all. You know, rotation, nobody, I guess they never heard of rotation, whatever, but anyway. Up here in Canada, Hydro One said they were hacked by the Russians. So even us here in Canada, we're doing the Russia back. Whatever the States is going to do, say, remember, the real Prime Minister of Canada is George Soros. This is pretty much, you hear John McClellan talk about George Soros. You hear a whole bunch of people talk about George Soros and how great he is in the Parliament there from time to time. If you watch CPAC enough, you figure out what the plan is. But anyway. NATO ready to attack in the Donbass, says the OSCE. Now, the thing is there's a huge tank buildup and military buildup with the Ukrainian military getting ready for the Donbass. Now, I cannot see them doing an offensive this time of year. January, you don't start an offensive in January, militarily speaking, unless there's you think you can really take the area. But there's video footage. Steve Manoon was covering it there from on one of his channels. He's got like 3 or 4 channels there, but he's the Israeli News Live guy. And he's got another one. But anyway, he was showing the footage, and he was like, I don't know, 40, 60 tanks building up in one area. So they're building up in the Donbass, mostly old T-72s, that type of thing. But I can't see them doing an offensive now. But considering the U.S. military drills that were in that area not that long ago, for them to go into the Donbass, what the plan could be is not so much for the Ukrainian military, but to get they're moving U.S. assets closer and closer to the conflict zone. That's what they're doing. Like, I mean, that way there's a more likelihood of the Russian rebels, I guess you would say, in the Crimea to accidentally kill or purposely kill, whichever, U.S. troops. Then, oh my God, we got to go invade. They killed one of our own. There was a Canadian soldier killed, well, not a soldier, but a volunteer killed. I guess this guy was from the region, a Kurdish guy or whatever, Kurdish Canadian. And he went back and he got killed. But you really got to look at it. He died fighting with the Kurds. But here's the problem. And this is what you have, and this is what I try to explain to anybody that's a soldier. They're sending you to fight against guys they armed. Let that sink in. They're sending you to go fight against terrorism, okay, against these ISIS terrorists. They're sending you to go fight them. Meanwhile, they'll be shooting back at you with the same weapon you were issued in the military. They are shooting back at you, okay, with the weapons they gave them. And they expect you to go to fight patriotically against these people. You know what I mean? Like, that's... for some people, you can't explain, well, I'm going to go defend my country. You're not defending... If you were defending your country, you don't go fight the ISIS guys. You fight the people that armed them. You know what I mean? I'm not calling for any violence, but I think at some point, I think there's enough struggle within the FBI and the CIA. At some point, you're going to see a military struggle within the United States. Saying, we're not going to do these faulty wars and regime changes. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and down there in Mexico, there was a hike in fuel by 20%, and they're rioting like crazy down there. So, again, it's just kind of a sign of things to come. And over there in India with the gold confiscation, they're kind of setting the world up for that. I don't know how they're going to pull everything off, but again, if you got like computer stuff or whatever, definitely back up. Sorry, had to do that there. Definitely back up everything that's important to you. That said, I mean, who knows what's going on up here? Could be solar flares too. I mean, we do get those from time to time. They do tend to knock out our power grids from time to time, especially here in Quebec. It's not the best, but well, it should kick on pretty soon. Yeah, that's when, like, it's burning enough. It's just it's not warm enough to kick on. And I'm getting out of this darn basement. It's getting chilly down here. And then I guess I got to go to the hall, see if their internet's still working. Get the work done down there. Oh God, it's so frustrating. That's the only thing about having your employment online, is that you're at the mercy of the internet company, whether they're a good company or not a good company. Now, I don't know, maybe it's just the signal isn't strong enough to get here, because the tower is right at the hall, but I'll go there anyway, see if I can get this video out. So if my videos are a little bit sporadic for the next week or two, until they sort out what's going on with that server, again, like, I can tell my computer is connected to the Wi-Fi. It connects like that. And it comes up, it's like, you know, something else. So I have no idea what's going on. I'll call them when I get back, and then I'll go from there. It makes it such a pain in the butt. And usually what I do is I do all my research at night after supper, and do all my internet stuff after supper, make the videos during the day. Because it's a lot easier for me to do this when my dad's at work, you know, that type of thing, you know, not interrupting in the house. It makes it, you know, makes it easier to do it that way. But, you know, I'll adjust however I got to adjust, as long as I can get access to it. Until they fix the internet here, I don't know, I'll call them today, and so it'll probably be a week before the guy can show up, or if it's on their end, you know, whatever. It's hard to say. So my videos might be kind of sporadic. I do have Q&As coming out till about the 12th. Today's date, just so you know, is the 6th? It is the 6th of January, so I don't know what day this is going to come out. Hopefully I'll be able to get it out today. But what happened last night, like, again, I went to the hall, did all my research, the internet was working fine at the hall. I come home and it wasn't working. So as long as it's working at the hall, I can get stuff out. If not, you know, you're going to see these kind of sporadic things, because obviously without the internet on, I can't tell you what's going on. So just so you know that, and I'll probably, you know, anytime the internet's out, you'll know if the video's a couple of days old or a week old or whatever, that type of thing. So that's about what's going to go on. I don't know. The furnace back on. Good. Now, the internet come back on. Anyway, I'm going to go get that done. And, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. So anyway, if you like this kind of content, please consider making a donation. Channel links down below. I know this wasn't the best World War III update, and I was quite vexy. But, you know, it's just so frustrating, you know. But next to that, rate, subscribe, share, comment, like. Be true to yourselves. Be true to others. Always do the right thing, and have yourselves a great day, eh? G'day, and welcome. All right. Well, it's cold out, but the sun is kind of shining, so that's how much snow we got. All right, World War III update. It might be a bit of a ranty day. Yes, as you can probably, well, yes, I don't know if you guys will get the video today, because the internet, the way it's been in the past couple of days there was like a not a nationwide, but like a region-wide blackout. There was like 5 towns where the freaking internet was down. It was working the other night. They got it back working again, and then last night it worked at the hall. I come home, doesn't freaking work here. This morning doesn't work here. So I don't know. I've tried everything. Unplugging the router. It's a problem with their server or something like that. It's like, because the other companies don't have a problem with it, and unfortunately, it's the only company I can get up here. But I'm at that edge line of civilization where, you know, very few internet providers go. So hopefully the one at the hall stays up long enough for me to get this video. If not, by the time you get this video, if you get it today, just keep in mind that the next, God knows how long, till they sort their crap out. I'm going to call them later, but like, I can connect to my router, but I guess their server keeps screwing up or whatever. It doesn't hit everywhere all at once. It hits kind of sporadically. Like, it'll hit, like, say, all the people on my hill one week, and then, you know, the next day or something like that, it hits people on the other side of the town. It seems all over the place. Like, it's a really lousy company. All right, so anyway, I guess I'll just start in on let's see what we got here. Okay, we got lots. All right. More DDoS attacks for 2017. Maybe that's what I'm experiencing. I don't know. I do know that the Picanock internet provider does use a Russian satellite, so you never know. They could be getting hacked. But if it's working at the hall, it should be working here. But mind you, it was working at the hall the other day. I don't know what it is. I'm just too fed up with it. Anyway, next one goes. The FBI never released, requested the DNC servers. So all this rhetoric that we're getting of, Russia hacked the election and all that stuff so we can go to war with them. Remember, Hillary Clinton, if it was Hillary Clinton saying it, trust me, it's the neocon plan. When she came out and said, we're going to respond to Russia militarily or anybody military that hacks our service. So we'll treat hacks with military response. That's pretty much her exact words. But the FBI say, no, we never requested, the DNC servers. So we don't know who did it, like that type of thing. That said, that Seth Rich guy that apparently committed suicide, who worked for the DNC, was probably the guy who leaked the documents. So they weren't hacked, they were leaked. And the problem there is that we don't know how this guy really died, but they're saying it's a suicide, but it comes out, the investigations, again, it's not a suicide. It just, again, Clinton Deadpool widens. Maybe it was somebody running defense for her too. You never know. Again, will it ever be proved? Who knows? But the timing. China drives its Dongfang 41 in the city of Daiqing. And this is kind of big news. I guess they're just moving them from one point to another. There's about 50 to 75 for them. They have a 9,300-mile range. So they could pretty much hit most of the United States. They could hit some places in Europe. The thing's got some range. It's like the Chinese version of the Topolam. Yeah, so that's kind of it. Something to keep on for the economic part of it. Again, another reason why they want to cull the herd is in the States there's about 80 million people nearing retirement. I think 2017 is going to be one of those years where you see all kinds of stuff like that. And it's like, wow, you know what I mean? It's like, I wasn't expecting that, you know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden everybody retires at once. Now that still doesn't, you don't need mass immigration to replenish the workforce for that. I mean, again, you cut down a couple of, look at what the cost for what it costs for all the militarization and stuff like that. There's areas where they could cut. They could cut the DHS, for example. They could cut some of these military bases overseas and be more than whatever it costs to run the retirement programs. That type. So, yeah, that's going to same here in Canada. So the excuse that they keep using that,